What should I consider when setting up my QuickBooks Online file? So thank you so much for asking. And by the way, I want to let you know that there's a question coming up that I promised last week. We had a question last week about scaling, and I was only able to spend a minute or two answering that, and I promised more today. So that one is coming up next. In the meantime, what should I consider when setting up my QuickBooks Online file? So it's a general question, and whether you're starting a brand new file or whether you're considering how can I get more out of it, or am I doing it right? Either way, even if your file already exists, this answer will help you create that clarity and ease and peace of mind. So there are a couple of things that you want to consider. First of all, the numbers have several purposes, external and internal. So some of the external users of your numbers might include the IRS, might include your state, they might include a creditor, for example, a bank. And one of the things that you'll need to consider as you design your QuickBooks Online file is how you want your chart of accounts to look. When I say your chart of accounts, what I mean is the names of the bank accounts, your other asset accounts such as inventory, accounts receivable, liability accounts, income and expense accounts. That list of the names of the accounts is called your chart of accounts, and you want to consider that for external sources, you're going to want to standardize that chart of accounts. They need to see financial statements in a way that's standard so they can quickly make a decision and move on. For example, using a chart of accounts with the names of vendors would not be a standard way to go. If let's say you're using PSE&G for your utilities provider, don't call it PSE&G, call it utilities expense, because that's the standardized name for it. So for external compliance purposes, you'll need to use a standardized naming conventions and classification processes for your transactions. However, don't forget there's also an internal use for your financial reports. How do you think? How do you think about your business? Do you think about your business in terms of the expenses are cost of sales, marketing and sales, and general administrative? In which case, any detailed accounts that you need for external reporting purposes can be grouped as sub-accounts under these main account classes or these main account categories. That has the extra advantage, by the way, of you being able to collapse a report, clicking a few buttons to add a percentage next to each number, so you can look not only at your dollars, but what percent of income, this is my favorite income statement type to look at, what percent of income does each main bucket represent? Why do you care? Because there are industry standards, and there are standards out there and targets to meet that say, if your business looks like this, you're doing well. If your business looks like this, you'll be able to scale. You'd be surprised if you run an income statement, otherwise known as a profit and loss, by percentage, that's called a common size profit and loss, compare it to best practices and say, wow, I'm doing really well. There's your peace of mind. You run a common size profit and loss and say, wow, other companies in my industry, in my life cycle stage, are way more profitable. How can I learn to do what they're doing? And what are my targets? My gosh, they're only spending 20% in this category. I'm spending 35%. Is that because I'm playing a bigger game? Is it because I haven't realized the return on investment yet? Or am I just plain overspending? Are my priorities out of whack? Comparing dollar for dollar with other companies is much more challenging. But if you take that income statement and organize the accounts and then run the profit and loss and add that percentage, it's a lot easier to compare that common size profit and loss with other companies. It's also a lot more comfortable for people to talk about in networking events or brainstorming groups or mastermind groups. People are typically much more comfortable in talking about the percentages rather than their dollar figures. So thank you so much for asking. The third thing that you'll want to consider in your QuickBooks Online file is, how can I streamline and automate? Am I getting everything possible out of this? think about your bank feeds. Do you need to have time records? Do you need to have invoicing be automated? Do you need to have payments be automated? Do you need to have project management or workflow tools, customer resource management? A lot of these tools exist that plug into QuickBooks Online and other accounting systems as well. These tools exist that plug into QuickBooks Desktop and Xero. Xero has a huge ecosystem of apps. And the more you can have these separate systems talking to each other and be fully integrated, the less of your time it will take. Similarly, the more you can use technology to streamline your processes, the less of your time it will take. So consider what else you need and technologically hook those up to your QuickBooks Online file. Get more aha moments and spend less time doing it.